Okay, so today we talk about the Spyderco Little Native, which is one of my favorite knives in my collection at this moment. This is the S30V version with the G10 scales. Those are the G10 scales. I replaced the scales with titanium brass ones. I did want to get the titanium scales, but they were sold out and discontinued, so that is that. Also, if you notice during the video, the blade, the centering is a little off, but this is not the knife's fault. It came perfectly centered with the G10 scales, but one of the clip side scale, the brass scale, actually bends a little here, right here, and pulls the liner away. And I thought, well, maybe if I assemble it and screw it down, then maybe the screw would pull the scale towards the line and the centering would be good. But no, you can still see it, so I have to disassemble it, bend the scale, and then reassemble it. Let's do a quick size comparison. Here it is against the Victorinox Compact and against the Leatherman Wave. Let's use the Leatherman Wave to determine blade length. We have, here we have a blade length of just under 2.5 inches and just over 6 centimeters. The hardware on this knife, you have a T8 pivot screw, another T8 pivot screw. This is a free spinning pivot, so you will need 2 T8 screwdrivers to disassemble this knife. The clip screw is also T8, and then the body screw where you have this stop pin, that is a T6. The knife runs on phosphor bronze washers, which I prefer over ball bearings, because I think bronze washers are just a little more reliable than ball bearings, and for me just as fidgety. And the last thing, you have full steel liners on this knife from top to bottom. There is a steel liner on both sides. The blade stock is on the thicker side here. If you would compare that to the Civivi Nox, let's say, this is a little bit thinner, but on the Little Native you get a very sturdy tip. I wouldn't worry about snapping that off. I would, however, worry about snapping that off on the Civivi Nox. So I prefer the thicker blade. I know that you could have a thinner blade stock with still a sturdy tip, but that's just the way that is. And I like having a knife in my hand that feels very robust, so I don't mind the thick blade stock. I will, however, say that when you slice through material, that thick blade stock with the full flat grind acts like a wedge, so you have increased resistance passing through material compared to a thinner blade like this. This would pass through the material a lot easier. The edge is amazing. Spyderco does an amazing job with their heat treat and with their edges, because on a lot of knives, when you put your fingernail on the edge here and slide over it, be careful doing that. You can feel sometimes imperfections and burrs and nicks or whatever. This has none of that. That is just glassy smooth, razor sharp out of the box. I did nothing to that. I used it a lot. It's still razor sharp. That is just amazing. The Spidey hole gives you 3 ways to open the blade. From the top of my head that I can think of, you can slow roll it, you can thumb flick it, and you can Spidey flick it without any problems. I should mention that the edge, some people are talking about the fact that the edge is exposed here in that compression lock area. The edge is not sharpened all the way to the heel. You can see the glinting and the light reflecting off of there. This is not sharpened, because when you close the knife with the compression lock, if you have a finger here, this comes close to your index finger, and that's the reason that this is not sharpened. I haven't had any problems with this knife biting me. I will say it is a little annoying. I didn't have the problem on the Para 3, but here when I close the knife, the blade, the heel bumps against my index finger and jumps back out. So I would actually have to remove my index finger just in time for the blade to stay closed. You know what I mean? If I keep the finger on the lock, then the blade wants to jump back out. This is something that I noticed, so most of the time I use the knife, I do this and then close it with my thumb. This is just the motion that my hand has learned. I could say. I close it, jumps back out, I close it with my thumb. If I wanted to have the knife closed, then I would have to, like I said, remove the finger just in time, and this is also a little finicky, so I just ended up with holding this down, let it bump back out, and just use my thumb to close it. If that would annoy you, that is something that I noticed, but it's not a huge problem for me. I like the compression lock very much. I prefer this and having to deal with this than having any other lock on this. I gotta be honest. So this is fine for me, and you don't have a lot of room to do it any other way. The clip is a deep carry wired pocket clip, which is very, very strong and very stiff. With the scales that came with the knife, you have this grippy G10 texture here, and I think I can actually sand my skin. With this on the knife, with the scale pressing down on that, I think that will eat away on your pockets. Some people sand that down. If you do that, do it underwater or wear a respirator, because G10 is bad for you when you inhale it. I think though with those smooth metal scales, my pants will live a lot longer. The ergos are fine. If you would squeeze down on the knife and use a 4-finger grip, the clip might be uncomfortable, but I have to be honest with you, I have never ever used my tiny little pocket knife or any other pocket knife with such a grip. And I know this is often a discussion about ergos. When you hold the knife like this, how does it feel? But let's be honest, I have never seen anybody use his pocket knife like this. I have never used my pocket knife like this, and I've been carrying a pocket knife for years. So yeah, but I gotta admit, ergos could be better that way. An interesting thought I heard on YouTube, I'll link the video in the comments and pin it if I can find the guy again. It is not my observation, but I'll still share it, is that this is the quickest knife to use after you deploy the blade. And he meant that if you use it like this and you spidey flick it and then you just close your hand, you're almost in a usable position here. If you would compare that to a thumb flick, you would hold the knife like this, deploy the blade, and then adjust your grip. Let's do that with a flipper knife. You would also hold it like this, flip the knife open, and then completely adjust your grip. And with this spidey flick here, because of the small size of the knife and the position you're in, you spidey flick it and just close the hand and you're almost in a usable position here. So that is an interesting observation I thought I'd share with you. As I said, this is not my observation. If I find the guy on YouTube again, I'll link him in the comments. So that sums it up. A lot of people say this is the perfect fifth pocket knife or backup blade. I say it's a perfect main blade. I like this thing a lot. I carry it quite a bit. Let me know what you think about it. If you have any other thoughts, what you are carrying. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.